Let's say you have this old family treasure. Maybe it's a letter from grandma or a poem your great uncle wrote years ago, and you want to find a way to share it with everyone. Here's one creative approach. Gather your family members and have each person read a small piece of it and record them as they do it. That's exactly what I did with this special Christmas story that my dad wrote. It started out as a little Christmas project a few years ago, and it's always been one of my favorites, but technology has improved a lot in the last few years, so I thought, why not take the old and make it new? For this video, I gave our extended family members two options. Either record and email me their audio file, or call my Google Voice number and leave it as a voicemail. Then I put all of their recordings together to make the video. And you may be thinking, oh, that's too intimidating. But I think this would work just fine as an audio file. And you wouldn't have to put all the pieces together if you had your family in one room and you had them take turns reading parts of the story. For my refresh, I cleaned up the audio and added some fresh visuals. And I experimented with tools that animate photos. That's a little weird, but it's also kind of amazing. You can think of it as a peek into where tech is headed. There are so many amazing tools out there for audio cleanup now, as well as photo manipulation, so I'll share more about them in a blog post. Just check the video description for a link if you're interested in that. So, without further ado, here's our updated version of this Christmas family story. One quick warning. If you have small ones nearby, this video might raise a few questions about Santa you're not ready to answer, so headphones might be a good idea.
Oh, jingle bells, all the way. Oh, my friend, that is you when the whole bird is wake.
This story was written by my grandfather, Orland William Carver Jr. in 1976.
When I was young, my grandpa used to tell us lots and lots of stories. I loved him so much that I would listen as he tried to decide if it was a Tuesday or a Thursday, or if it was 1912 or 1914.
Thanks, Dad, for keeping my kids occupied.
My story begins with a baby's first cry. Probably 1 million babies were born on the 23rd day of September in the year of 1869, but only one to Edmund and Cynthia Jane there in the little city of Middletown, Vermont.
Annis Louisa could talk a blue streak by the time Eddie came along. His real name was Edmund Wilmot Hubbard, Jr., born April 30th, 1871, also at Middletown. Baby number 3 was born there also on the day after Christmas, 1872. They named him Arthur Parks, the middle name after the Parks family, his mother's family.
It must have been the following summer that the parents decided to move.
The house in Rutland turned out to be a hotel. Cynthia Jane and Edmund were either the managers or proprietors. I know not which.
In later years, Anna seemed to enjoy recalling a number of her childhood escapades, be they ever so trivial to some of us.
When she was 4 or 5 years of age, Anna was familiar with the forest trail near her home. On this one particular balmy day, as she skipped along the sunlit path,
the little forest creatures sang, whistled, chirped, cawed, and croaked good morning to her. She was extremely careful of her little brown dress, her long white cotton stockings, and black leather slippers, but even more careful not to meet old Mr. Wolf or even Freddie the Fox.
Fortunately, she had no trouble in this respect. However, she became a bit curious as she spied a column of blue smoke sending upward some distance ahead. As she drew near, she beheld a small log cabin in the clearing. The smoke was coming from its chimney.
I wonder who lives here. I could go knock on the door, but maybe I'd better not. Some mean old man might come to the door. Maybe I could slip up close and peek in without anybody seeing me.
And she did.
Oh, there's a man in there, all right, working at that thing that has copper tubing on it. I know what that is. I'm getting out of here.
What was it, Mama? The children asked many years later.
Still, the man was a bootlegger.
I don't think I ever mentioned the incident to anyone.
I was too scared.
Cynthia Jane was happy that her 4-year-old was always willing to help with the baby brother or perform other useful chores. She thought it would be nice to have the child's help this one particular morning. But where was Mother's little helper? Somewhere in the dining room, of course. "Where are you, dear?" called the young mother on entering from the kitchen.
Here, Mama, under the table, sitting on the floor.
Why don't you wash your hands and help Mother set the table? You could put the silverware around, you know.
But, yeah, Mommy. There was a brick moment of silence, and then, crack! Oh no, thought Cynthia Jane. Just look at all those dishes on the floor. I should have told the child never to pull herself up by taking hold of the tablecloth.
Annis, the 8-year-old, had often wondered how her friend Santa Claus could come down the chimney and set about his work in the middle of the night without disturbing people. Since it was Christmas Eve and she thought about it, well, why not stay awake and find out herself?
When Mother Cynthia announced that it was time all good children were in bed, Annis, Eddie, and little Arthur dutifully obeyed. It would never do for Annis to procrastinate or to beg to be allowed to stay up a little longer, for this would spoil her wonderful plan.
"I mustn't fall asleep yet," thought little Miss Hubbard as she blew out the kerosene lamp and climbed into bed. "I must pull the covers around me so I'll get warm, but I just must stay awake."
And stay awake she did, until she thought midnight had arrived. Then she slipped ever so quietly out of bed, tiptoed silently across the room, out the door, and down the stairs.
And I suppose you've already guessed whom and what she beheld. Yes, that's right. There was a handsome gentleman, and someone assisting him, decorating a big fir tree and placing packages around it.
So this is who Santa was, her own papa.
And my mother was his helper. She faded years later.
I watched them for a few minutes, then tiptoed back up the stairs to my room, being very careful not to wake up the little brothers. Nobody even knew I had been up.
Oh my, someone may exclaim. How disappointed the poor child must have been. She probably flung herself back into bed and cried herself to sleep.
Not Annis Louisa. If she flung herself into bed, she more than likely pulled the covers over her head and giggled for the next half hour. To hear her tell it, this was one of the greatest jokes of the year, yet one of its most pleasant surprises. After all,
who could be a better Santa Claus than her father? And
who could be a better helper than Mother Cynthia Jane?
Annis was 9 when the little family experienced their first tragedy. After a period of illness, her dear Santa Claus father passed away. All Annis ever stated concerning the tragedy was, "My father died when I was 9 years old."
It was in 1886 when Annis was 17, Eddie 15, and Arthur 13 that Cynthia Jane came west to the Sandhill region of Nebraska and took a homestead. According to the history book written by her father, she was a brave little mother who knew how to meet life's problems.
So for the moment, we leave them here, Mother Cynthia and her little family, to carve a place for themselves in a world vastly different from their own beautiful Vermont.
A big thank you to Kate, Isaac, Mary, Don, Jared, Jody, Kathy, Marv, Luke, Isaac, Angel, Melody, Jeremy, Damon, Kevin, Briley, Deb, Aria, Karen, Karsten, Conan, Annika, Isabella, Lucas, Kenny, and Stephanie, and of course, Chloe.
Oh, Giga Boat, Giga Boat, Giga on the way. Oh, my friend, that is way.